Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again inside the athletic fields here at Milford High School as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call and getting set for a lengthy evening of soccer action here in Milford as we will have double-header action of both the boys and girls teams today. We begin it with the boys teams, the Scarlet Hawks, the first-place Milford Scarlet Hawks, out there on the pitch first, taking on the second-place team just behind Milford in the Davenport Division standings in the Canton Bulldogs. Quickly, let's bring you your starters for today's match. First, for the visitors from Canton, it will be Alejandro Corial, the junior, in net for the visitors, as well as Dylan Baird, Mike Mazzola, Avery Minkin, TJ McCabe, Paul Corcoran, the captain, Will Keefe, Simon Cruz, Griffin Roach, another captain, the third captain of this Canton team, Paolo Ruggieri, and Matt Giglio. The starters for the visitors, and for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, it will once again be Josh Orellana in net. And the other starters for the Scarlet Hawks, Joey Madden, Lucas Caetano, Tiago Filadelfo, Joao Boaventura, Tiago Carvalho, João Vitor Nieva, Jordan Borges, Wallison de Oliveira, Lucas de Silva, and Leo Coelho. The starters for the home team on this cool, raw afternoon into the evening here in Milford today. It is going to be a cold one. Temperatures hovering in the low 40s to start, and it's only going to continue to drop from there, so players having to deal with some unfriendly temperature conditions for the game, but Milford looks to continue to keep on rolling offensively from their last game, and of course that game we had covered for you here on Milford TV, an offensive explosion to say the least for Milford their last time out, as they were able to defeat the Stoughton Black Knights by a score of 9-1. It established a new single game high in goals scored for the Scarlet Hawks. And as part of that attack, Wallison de Oliveira front and center, as you would expect, 4 goals in that victory. He had 3 in the first half alone, netted the team's first score of the second half, and Milford just kept piling on from there. It was a fun afternoon if you like offense, and Milford hoping that some of that will carry over here, as this is an important game for Milford. Of course, taking on the second-place team in the division, a team nipping at their heels, and with a win here today, Milford would solidify a Davenport Division title. So hoping to get that done here today against Canton. They were victorious in their first matchup against Canton earlier this season. It was a close-played game up at Canton High School. Milford able to come away with a 2-1 victory. So 2 very talented teams out on the field for this game this afternoon. De Oliveira has that ball knocked away from him at midfield as Milford looks to attack from right to left across your screens here in the first half. Canton establishing a good rhythm here in the early minutes. João Vitor Nieva stepping in, trying to intercept that pass. Canton regroups, pushing the ball to the near side. And now back in deep to Griffin Roach, the senior captain, who is the goal-scoring leader for the team to this point in the year. That ball hits softly in towards net, and an easy play for Josh Orellana, who pauses momentarily and now will deliver the ball back upfield. Aggressively played at the center of the field by Paolo Ruggieri. 3 talented captains leading this Canton team. Now the ball knocked loose away from Dylan Baird, a freshman getting starting minutes for Canton. Still in the opening minutes of play. And the ball knocked out. And this will be a corner kick, the first one of the match, taken by the Canton Bulldogs. A big opportunity here in the early minutes, and you can see that wind really whipping across the field. So this kick will come in against the breeze. And that one dying shy of the net and knocked right back out of play. And we will reset. See those flags fully extended. And that breeze continuing to bring the temperature down. Simon Cruz in the corner for the second straight attempt. This ball deflected up, still playable. Can't find it. This gives Joey Madden a chance to step in. Now played out a few yards up the near sideline by João Vitor Nieva, poked out of play. It will stay with Canton. visitors coming out with a little bit of momentum to start. Long toss comes all the way in front of the goal mouth and now knocked away by Tiago Carvalho, but not the full clear. And this will come back in on net, and Orellana is able to step in and handle it. Milford with a playoff berth already within their grasps. Canton as well. Both of these teams headed to the MIAA tournament. The only question is who will emerge as the division champs. Milford trying to establish play down on their attacking side of the field, but Canton has done a good job of really maintaining the pace here early on. Milford with 23 points overall on the season, one more than Canton. They have 2 more points within division play. And North Attleboro in 3rd place, a little ways behind, so essentially a 2-team race for that division title with most teams with just 1 or 2 games remaining on their schedule after today. We expect the regular season to wind down by early next week, and then we'll find out the playoff seedings from there. And so aside from wanting to sew up a division title, these teams wanting to bolster their potential playoff seedings. As that ball gets sent very far out of play off the far side. 34-35 on the game clock here in the first half. Scoreless in the first 10 minutes as now João Vitor Nieva pokes one forward, trying to hit De Oliveira in stride. That play worked a number of times against Stoughton on Monday. It felt like Milford had a step on the defense of the Black Knights nearly every time out. Now played in deep, moved along by Nieva. It was a nice play through traffic, but Canton able to push it back out towards center. Joey Madden tries to keep play alive, and now hard contact away from the ball, no whistle. That was Leo Coelho involved in that, but just in the flow of the game, nothing ill-intended. And Milford now with the quick steal and the move ahead, and nicely done defensively by Canton to keep that ball away from De Oliveira. You can see the commitment they have defensively around Wallace and De Oliveira. And it was the captain, Paul Corcoran, helping the cause. An interesting battle on this field today between Paul Corcoran and Wallace and De Oliveira, who last year were 1-2 in the league in scoring. Corcoran with 15 goals on the season, De Oliveira with 14. De Oliveira with the higher goal total this season. Ball played ahead on the near side, handled by Lucas Da Silva, one of the goal scorers from back on Monday. The number 2 scorer on the Scarlet Hawks offense. Da Silva with it again, tries to send it in deep, gets deflected, wins it right back. And now this one played back out to the middle of the field and right on the foot of Griffin Roach, who pushes the tempo quickly. Canton doing a good job of transitioning defense into offense so far in this half. And now Milford getting the ball back ahead to that duo of De Oliveira and Nieva, but the ball ends up out of play. Everyone bundled up out in the stands taking in this game today. The girls will have senior night festivities before their match gets started. The boys getting right down to it here in this game against Canton now. 9 minutes into this first half action, as again Da Silva tries to push the tempo. But no one home to receive that pass back along to the center circle where Milford regroups. And Da Silva will push this on right to net where Alejandro Correal is waiting for it. Coryell came into this week's action with a 1.10 goals allowed average. Orellana coming in with the top goals allowed average in the league at .45. And had a clean record in his portion of the game on Monday. Cam Doherty eventually took over in the later stages when that game started to get out of hand. Another corner kick for Canton, and you can just see the wind has not been kind to these corner kick chances. This ball will stay with the Bulldogs, who again have had the better of the offensive chances so far in this game. A long toss in, headed away by the Scarlet Hawks. Can't quite get the clear. This ball will bounce towards the corner and out. And last touched by the Bulldogs. A goal kick here for the Scarlet Hawks, as we will now dip just under the 30-minute mark. So now a full 10 minutes into this first half action. And the whistle right at midfield going against the Bulldogs. Milford was about 30 seconds away from finishing off the shutout on Monday against Stoughton, but a late goal allowed in just moments before the final whistle allowed Stoughton to walk away with one goal in their column, but still a lopsided victory for the Scarlet Hawks. They have one more matchup coming up with the Black Knights next week before the end of the regular season. Milford trying to get something started here now. That ball deflecting in the neighborhood of De Oliveira, but once again it's Corcoran close by who has been glued to the side of De Oliveira through these first 10 minutes. Quick play up the far sideline now, and the ball left behind. Milford trying to quickly answer. Boaventura playing it to Tiago Carvalho, who moves it over the middle, hitting Jordan Borges with the pass. Now that ball too far out in front for Nieva to play, and the keeper trots out to make the play. Coryell now will send it back down. Milford will have just 2 games remaining on the schedule after today, as Orellana calmly plays that ball out of danger. Games against Hopedale and then the aforementioned game against the Black Knights on the road. Now, substitution on the Milford side, as we'll see Anthony Salvador check into the game for the first time. He replaces Javitor Nieva. Salvador had 1 goal in the game on Monday, could have had 2, but ended up using the second opportunity to set up Omar Lima with the 9th and final goal of the day. Wallace and De Oliveira ended up coming out of that game on Monday just 1 goal shy of the Hockomock League lead. It's been a fun battle atop those scoring leaders throughout this season, between De Oliveira, Griffin Roach of this Canton team, and also Dylan Barrera of Foxborough, 3 very gifted scorers. Between the 3, they collectively have over 50 goals on the season. Milford will get the toss in here with 26:46 left in the first half. Pass offline off the foot of Lucas De Silva. And the trips up the field so far for Milford have been brief. Canton with an opportunity to have more extended time trying to set up their offense, but regardless of that differential, the scoreboard remains empty. These two teams last met in Canton on October 4th on what I can only assume was a day much warmer than the one we're experiencing here today. Ended up being Wallison de Oliveira and João Vitor Nieva with the goals for the Scarlet Hawks. De Oliveira opening the scoring in the first half, and then after Canton was able to tie things up on a goal by Captain Paulo Ruggieri. It was João Vitor Nieva who was able to net the eventual game winner. Carvalho now ahead. Anthony Salvador racing for it. He's able to keep it alive. Now splits a couple of defenders. And trying to deliver the pass to Lucas da Silva, did not quite get there. But some nice moves by Salvador. We saw extended play for Salvador in the second half of Monday's game. And a good energy player for the Scarlet Hawks team off the bench. Hard contact there, right at midfield. Leo Coelho getting knocked to the turf. Milford will have the kick with 24:25 on the clock. Now down the far sideline. And Milford will send it across the goal mouth and pushed out of play as Da Silva was able to get over. Will Keefe for Canton ended up electing to send that one out of play, sensing Milford had the upper hand. So now the toss in. Carvalho sending it for Salvador, and the turnaround shot for Jordan Borges. Couldn't get quite as much on it as he would have liked, and a save made by Corial. But a better sequence there for the Scarlet Hawks, trying to settle in and trying to deal with these chilly conditions. Of course, only going to get colder in the weeks to come, and this is a Milford team that has every intention of playing deep into the next few weeks. .22:54 now left in the first half. Still looking for our first goal. So already a very different feel to this game than what we saw here a couple of days ago. Joey Madden making the case that that ball was out off of Canton, but it will be the Bulldogs who toss in. And now this play rolling free. It ends up in the back of the net, but the whistle stopping play just before. And Canton upset with the call. Griffin Roach, the captain, with the conversation with the official. And the head coach for the Bulldogs right at the 50-yard line with his arms outstretched, trying to get a handle for what the call was. Danny Erickson, the head coach of the Bulldogs. He's been the coach of this boys soccer program for 26 seasons. He's also the athletic director for Canton High School. And so a big free kick here from the edge of the box with 21-21 left to go here in the first half. Canton trying to strike first in this matchup of the top two teams in the Davenport. And ready to go. This ball on a line and off the hands of Orellana. He's able to deflect it harmlessly out of play. And so a good bid for the Bulldogs and plenty on that kick. It was right on line, but Orellana is able to make the save. And that now sets up a corner kick. The wind a little bit less of a factor for this kick, but you can see those flags still coming in. Again, the kick will come against that breeze. And you have to imagine the hands of Josh Orellana are still stinging from absorbing that last kick. Here comes another one on a line, and Milford will again deflect it down and out of play. And Milford living dangerously here in this sequence. We'll have another corner kick now come in from the far side. And it's Simon Cruz again who will set up for it. And now Milford able to deflect this one away, but not out. And now whiffing on the shot attempt. This allows Milford to get the ball upfield to De Oliveira. The defense closes in now. De Oliveira getting support, but he's able to weave his way around the defense now into the box. And he pops that one up over the net. Now stays in play. Milford ended up getting another opportunity there. That ball looked like it was headed out, but it stayed in for De Oliveira to try to redirect. And so a quick opportunity developing there for Milford after the free kick chance and the two corners on the other end for Canton. So now the first corner kick chance of the day for Milford. And this one gets headed down right on the feet of Lucas Caetano. Couldn't settle it. Milford starting to get a little more comfortable here. The fans fully engaged now after seeing a couple of close calls. And now this shot comes in and will drift wide to the left of the net off the foot of Lucas da Silva. And so right now with the attention that Wallace and De Oliveira is receiving from the Canton defense, looking to try to facilitate for some of his teammates. 17:50 to go in the first half, and we are still scoreless. This has been an entertaining chess match between these two teams so far. The fans enjoying it. And now that ball taken away from Borges and knocked out. I beg your pardon, Leo Coelho with that last play. And it will be Coelho. Now it looks like he'll give way to Tiago Carvalho for this kick. And now deflected, and the keeper able to make the stop. As Salvador was sliding in, looking for the second chance. Canton making a change in net from the start of the match. It was Alejandro Correal getting the start, but now a new face out there. I believe the other keeper on the roster for Canton is Dylan Coyne. We'll try to get confirmation of that at the half if we can. And even 16 minutes left on the game clock as Milford tries to break out once again. Here's De Oliveira. He doesn't get there before Avery Minkin, the senior, pokes it back downfield. It ends up out of play, and Joey Madden ready to push the tempo. But substitutions coming in as we'll see Javitor Nieva return to the field. He replaces Salvador, who had some good solid play. Ball pushed forward by Griffin Roach, left on the far side. Now Madden steps in to try to break it up. Neva with the soft pass across the middle of the field. Joey Madden ends up getting tripped up. Starting to get into the later stages of this first half. Milford hoping to sweep the season series against the Bulldogs as this kick comes in and a quartet of players going up for it. And now contact again. As the ball came back towards midfield, again the whistle going against the Bulldogs. Tiago Philadelphia trying to find Nieva. Now a foot race along the near sideline. Good defense for Lucas Da Silva. Forced Canton to regroup now. Trying to find space over the middle. Tiago Carvalho pokes the ball away. Canton keeps it in. Now looking for the quick header chance for Griffin Roach. And Milford can't quite make the steal, and now the quick release offline. And so it looks like now Alejandro Correal is out there in a new position, now wearing uniform number 30. So switching things up after the early minutes, Correal now part of the action. He gets the ball on his foot here and is able to quickly weave away. Trying to find Roach. It is Griffin Roach who is the goals leader for this Canton team. He has 14 goals. Not sure if there was an injury to Paul Corcoran that limited his production during the season. He has not had the volume of goals that he had by this point in the season last year. Corcoran came in to this week with 5 goals on the season. .12:06 left in the first half. And we've seen Josh Orellana with some lower line drive kicks so far in this half to try to stay out of that breeze. Players again getting tangled up. This match getting a little bit more physical. Borges and Colby Clifolio. And now played ahead, and De Oliveira with a no-look backwards pass to Nieva, now gets it back, and defenders close in, and a highlight reel caliber play there from De Oliveira. No-look that ball right to João Vitor Nieva. These are the kind of games that Coach Edwards was referencing when I talked to him last week, where he's happy to see that this team is not just the Wallison show, that they have legitimate secondary scoring options that can help win them a game. And a team like Canton, who knows the skill set of De Oliveira, they're doing everything they can to take him out of this game. And so De Oliveira getting his other scorers involved. It's led to some chances here in the first half, but neither side able to cash in quite yet. Still scoreless now as we enter into the final 10 minutes of this first half. And now this ball sent on the ground and guided out of play. As now we do officially go under that 10-minute mark. This ball getting past a couple of Milford players. Joey Madden able to get to it. Deflects back out to midfield, and now along the far sideline for the Bulldogs. Boaventura wins it back for Milford. Now Carvalho finds an open part of the field for Lucas da Silva. Milford keeping it in. Here's da Silva, Wallison De Oliveira trying to keep it in Milford's favor. And now Milford, the defense trying to slow that ball down, but Canton there. And now centered up for the Bulldogs, and Milford able to converge, and now Orellana puts a stop to it. And a very dangerous opportunity there for the Bulldogs, and it looked like TJ McCabe had that ball right outside the goal mouth and could not cash in. You can see João Pedro da Silva getting some playtime here as this first half goes along. He was one of the goal scorers, and I think one of the goals that impressed his head coach the most in that offensive explosion on Monday. João Pedro da Silva called up to this varsity team mid-season, getting his first goal of the year just a couple of days ago. As Milford is now whistled after Corial ends up on his back. Another free kick chance for the Bulldogs. Paolo Ruggieri lined up for it. I beg your pardon, it's Griffin Roach. And another save made by Orellana. The rebound chance, he makes the save as well. Now the header opportunity, Milford can't quite get the clear. Now back out to the edge of the box. Canton still has it. Two phenomenal saves for Josh Orellana. The defense back there as well. 3 opportunities to score for the Bulldogs, and Milford denies it. Orellana has emerged as arguably the top goalkeeper in the Hockomock League this season. Certainly the statistics would back that up, and he has certainly backed it up with his play so far on the year. And everyone's standing now at the Milford bench after that defensive stand. And two of the captains of these teams going back and forth, and it looks like we'll have a timeout now as one of the officials with some additional words, perhaps a warning for Griffin Roach. No cards issued. A timeout called for on the field with just 6 minutes and 38 seconds to go. Outstanding tempo to this first half. Great play on both sides and still scoreless between the Scarlet Hawks and the Canton Bulldogs. Back with more in just a moment here on Milford TV. It may not be the playoffs quite yet, but it certainly feels like it here in Milford. Two playoff-bound teams in the Scarlet Hawks and the visiting Canton Bulldogs. We've seen some physical play. We've seen some outstanding scoring chances, in particular on the Canton side. But Josh Orellana has stood tall in net. Canton denying the Milford opportunities as well, so we remain in a scoreless deadlock with 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. João Pedro da Silva now trying to send it along for this Milford offense, trying to get something going here in the final minutes until the intermission. And now a Milford player shaken up. Leo Coelho trying to slide in to make a play, ended up taking some contact. And now able to get back to his feet. He'll stay in there. And we talked about it in the broadcast on Monday. Once the temperature gets to this stage, no contact feels good, and it's even more of a bitter cold out there today than it was earlier in the week, and now the shadows fully covering the field. Light starting to come on here in Milford as the Hawks play this ball out of the far corner. Leo Coelho continues to be front and center in the action. Milford will get the toss in as we tick down to the final 5 minutes of the period. High arcing toss comes in for Madden. And now Thiago Carvalho with his shot deflected. That was a rocket. A tough contact to absorb for the Bulldogs. I think that may have been Corial who absorbed that blast from Carvalho and somehow unfazed. And Carvalho tripped up that time, no whistle. Now Coelho again, able to protect the ball, now starts and stops. Sends it in towards Wallace and De Oliveira, and the redirect goes offline out to the left of the net. That developed in a hurry and looked good. With that pass in on the money to De Oliveira, but he couldn't bend that one in towards the net. You can feel a little bit more momentum in the Scarlet Hawks' favor compared to earlier in the half. Trying to get something done before we hit the break. Only 3.5 minutes to go now. And that time pretty true. We haven't had much stoppage in this half. Now dropped in with Griffin Roach in the vicinity, but that deflects out. Orellana lets it roll across the goal line. Roach, who scored against the Scarlet Hawks earlier in the season in their first meeting, he's had a couple of opportunities through this first 40 minutes. As Carvalho now ahead for De Oliveira. And ends up having it poked away again. Paul Corcoran making the play against De Oliveira. Now here's Canton back up the near sideline. Good play for Caetano. Lucas De Silva joining the effort. And possession will stay with the Scarlet Hawks, and this amped up Milford crowd living and dying by every call. Corcoran tosses it in, and Joey Madden able to get there first. Madden far from the tallest player on the field, but a lot of times those leaps end up making the difference. He's able to leap up out of those crowds in front of the net to make a play. He did so there, but this will ultimately lead to a corner kick chance for the Bulldogs with the clock now under 2 minutes. And now right into the hands of Orellana. And Milford trying to immediately turn that play at net into offense. Madden brings it across midfield, but Canton is there to break the momentum. Madden again loses it. Milford dumps it in deep. Corcoran is always aware of De Oliveira's spot on the field before sending that kick back down, and now Milford will send it back across, and play continues to go back and forth across the 50. This ball rolls free now down the near sideline. Nieva keeps it in, but this will deflect to the Canton keeper, who slides in to cover it up. Carvalho the first to get to the kick from the Canton keeper. Now Nieva and De Oliveira trying to break out together. Good pass ahead, finds Nieva, takes his time with it, and now has it knocked away. Sends it back for De Oliveira, who blasts it high and out of play. Wallace and De Oliveira frustrated. He knows he had a good opportunity there. And a good bid for João Vitor Nieva as well. And there is the signal for the end of this first half. Outstanding play, everything that you'd expect out of two quality programs like Milford and Canton, and we'll head into halftime without a goal on either side. Milford 0, Canton 0. We will pause now for the break, and we will have second half action for you in just a moment. Again, you are watching coverage of Milford High School boys soccer right here on Milford TV. Welcome back into Milford High School for second half action of this boys soccer contest. An outstanding matchup between the Milford Scarlet Hawks and the Canton Bulldogs. Tim Coed here on the call for Milford TV. So we come right down to the end of this fall sports season. Just a couple of days left before the playoffs will arrive. And it is scoreless between these two teams as we enter into the second half. Some good chances for Milford late in the half. Milford surviving more than a few scares from this Canton offense as the first half went along. Josh Orellana doing some outstanding work in net to keep this game scoreless. Milford now attacking from left to right across their screens here in the second half, and it looks like Alejandro Corial has returned as the keeper for the Bulldogs. Milford, the top team in the Davenport Division with a 9-1-5 record overall. A win today for Milford would solidify them as Davenport Division champions. But offense at a premium here on this chilly day. Now under the lights on the Milford turf field. And quick acceleration ahead for the Scarlet Hawks, but that ball rolling a little too far out in front of Wallison de Oliveira, who has had particular attention on the defensive side for the Bulldogs. He has had at least 2 defenders in close proximity at any moment, and a lot of times we've seen a third player collapse in to try to contain de Oliveira. That is the kind of respect that his skill now garners around the league. It's Boaventura now working against a couple of Bulldogs players. Now the trip on Paolo Ruggieri. After the conclusion of the boys' match, we'll reset for girls' soccer action a little bit later on this evening between these same 2 schools. And that play deflects off the post and in. And that is how we see our first goal scored off the tripping call, the kick, and the deflection off the post after the initial save was made by Orellana, and Canton is able to take a 1-0 lead. And the celebration was initiated by Paolo Ruggieri, trying to get confirmation on who officially gets the credit for that score, but nonetheless, an important first goal of this contest. And Milford now trying to answer. And these Milford fans have not allowed the cold temperatures to dampen their enthusiasm. This has been as lively a crowd as we have seen for a soccer game here in Milford all season long. Now the deep toss in by Joey Madden, and Milford immediately gets the answer. And it was Lucas Da Silva. And less than 60 seconds later, Da Silva is able to even this match at a goal apiece. And style points for the celebration after for Lucas Da Silva, as we are now dead even at a goal apiece. So after the entire first half eclipsed with no scoring, we see goals exchanged within the first 4 minutes of this second half. And we're right back where we started. Joey Madden with another great toss, giving Da Silva the opportunity, and he was able to convert. The wind has calmed a little bit for the moment, and that no doubt helped with that toss for Madden. Carvalho now to the edge of the box, tries to find Nieva. Nieva will pop this one straight up in the air. Milford waits for it to come down. It deflects in Canton's direction. Now Coelho steps in to try to keep it alive for the Scarlet Hawks, and the ball eventually deflects out off of Milford. Just 5 minutes into the second half, and already a flurry of activity. And meanwhile, for Lucas da Silva, the number 2 scoring option on this offense, he now has 7 goals on the season. Second on the team, only to Wallace and de Oliveira. Now to the edge of play on the near side. Coelho is able to steal it, and now no whistle. They'll allow that to continue. Now João Vitor Nieva ends up getting taken out, and again, play allowed to continue. The officials letting them play here in the second half. And so now a lot of arm fighting between Thiago Carvalho and his defender as this ball is pushed ahead for Wallace and de Oliveira. And then meanwhile, the Canton player run into his keeper, and it ends up initiating the whistle against Milford. The officials trying to keep a firm handle on a match that carries a lot of weight for both of these teams. Nieva slides in to try to poke that ball free, but it's held on to by Ruggieri. Now Coelho with good tight defense, but Canton continues to push forward. Now this shot will shoot up and over the net. It was Ruggieri with the shot attempt that cleared up and over the crossbar. Now Nieva floats this along for de Oliveira, tries to get it back, and Nieva continuing to be upset with the amount of contact that he's gotten over these last few moments. You can see motioning to the coaching staff on the sidelines about the repeated pushes. Everyone needing to keep focus. Here's Madden again. He'll toss this along for Coelho, and Coelho gets wrestled down to the ground, and finally we see the whistle. Some jawing afterwards. Thiago Carvalho will now set up for another big kick. Canton upset with the whistle from the official, but it's pretty clear cut from our perspective. Here's Carvalho now. Sends it in on a line, headed down, and the save made by Corial. Still just 9 minutes into the second half, and the action has been intense right from the moment we resumed play. Get the impression that after these two teams spent the first 40 minutes feeling each other out, the intensity has ramped up considerably. And now a whiff for the Milford defense. Orellana able to make the stop, but the ball loose. Milford back there defensively, and they're able to poke it away. And now another chance for Canton. Milford still not quite out of danger, as now this one right to the edge of the near side. And Madden finally able to give Milford some breathing room. Unbelievable that ball stayed out of the back of the net. Orellana got taken completely out of the play, and Milford's defense able to get back there. And so now Corcoran will take the kick from right there on the 30-yard line, as we're now at 29:39 to go in the second half. Low line drive headed down by Milford. Now Coelho trying to break out with it. Shoots it out ahead, now uses his speed. Great transition from Coelho. And now gets tripped up. And no whistle, as Canton now deflects it out of play, and that had Coach Edwards looking back to the official, wondering where was the call there. It's become a little bit of a guessing game as to what's going to be called and what's not, as that ball ends up in the hands of Alejandro Correal. Dumped in by Ruggieri, now cleared out by Tiago Philadelphio. Seen an awful lot of the calls go in Canton's direction throughout this match. Good play by Joey Madden. He'll let this one roll the length of the field, and Corcoran able to settle it. He'll get it right back on his foot as now Nieva checks in. Back to the near sideline for Nuno Mestre. Now Philadelphia ahead for De Oliveira. Plays it back across midfield, and now this will roll out off of the Bulldogs. Hard to even catch your breath with the action up and down the field over these last few minutes. 27-25 still to go in the second half. Tied at 1. Goals coming just moments into the second half. Now Milford pushing ahead. Nieva again ends up on the turf. Here's De Oliveira now, trying to make it through traffic. Now here's Nieva. He slides in and scores. And pumped up afterwards, João Vitor Nieva, who has been frustrated in this second half. He's taken a lot of contact, has not had a lot of whistles go his way, so he makes his own luck and gets congratulations from his teammates. This Milford team absolutely electrified as João Vitor Nieva gives the Scarlet Hawks a 2-1 lead. So Nieva scores his second goal of the season against Canton. He scored the game winner in this matchup earlier on the season on the road in Canton. So there have certainly been moments where Canton has had the upper hand in this game, but Milford playing tough when it matters most. Now hoping to protect this lead with still a lot of time left. Coming down to 26 minutes to go. And a timeout. Looks like it's going to be taken here, stopping the clock with 26 minutes and 3 seconds to go. Milford has seen goals in this second half so far from Lucas De Silva and João Vitor Nieva, and Milford holds on to a 2-1 lead over Canton. We'll pause for the timeout. More to come in a moment here on Milford TV. Just over 26 minutes remain. An outstanding battle continues between Milford and Canton. Tiago Philadelphio sending that ball back out towards the middle of the field, and now racing back to try to corral this one is De Silva. De Silva along with João Vitor Nieva giving Milford a 2-1 lead. After Canton had struck first, just about 3 minutes into the second half, Milford now with 2 unanswered goals, and now an opportunity for Canton, and they're able to answer back. And once again, we're going to be tied. Simon Cruz, the senior, with his 6th goal of the season. And so that is how quickly momentum has shifted in this game. We saw it first for Milford, and now it's Canton who's able to come up with the answer. Still with 25 minutes to go, what else will we see between these two teams? So Simon Cruz with his 6th. This Milford team has done a very good job this season of really keeping their emotions in check, staying focused on the field. We've seen those emotions spill over a couple of times in this game, and in particular after the goal by Nieva. Trying to rein things in and stay in the moment. Now, Salvador into the game. He took some contact after releasing the pass upfield. Now the deflection by De Oliveira nearly finds Jordan Borges. Deflects out on the far side, stays with Milford. 23-35 left in the second half. Now the ball intercepted by the Bulldogs, and they'll quickly turn it upfield. And Philadelphia able to get there now. Pushed back across midfield. Here's Boaventura. Gets tangled up with TJ McCabe. The ball ends up out of play in front of the Canton bench. They'll give no assistance to Joey Madden, who comes over to pick it up, now tosses it deep. Salvador keeps it in, now tries to win it back. Now Coelho loses it. Salvador can't settle it down. Back to Coelho. And ahead to the keeper once again. A change in net. I believe it's Coyne out there now. And a little flick in the direction of Orellana. He has to step up to play it. Coelho taking his time, now tries a quick acceleration. Salvador with two defenders draped around him ends up losing control. The ball rolls back out to midfield with 21.5 minutes to go in the second half. Lucas Caetano briefly losing his footing. Now this ball finding Paulo Ruggieri in good position. Ends up getting pushed to the near sideline before getting delivered across the length of the field. Milford clears it out just over the head of De Oliveira, but Salvador there in support. Now De Oliveira tries to battle through a double team, and the keeper slides in to make the stop, and De Oliveira can't believe it. Now Milford trying to keep play alive on their attacking side. Good play in for Borges. Borges all the way down into the corner. Tries to center it up, but that ball will drift over the goal and out of play. De Oliveira battling two defenders all the way, was able to make his way into the box before releasing the shot, but the keeper slides in to save it. He's had a couple of chances to net what would be his 20th goal of the season. Now Salvador able to keep this ball on the attacking side for the Scarlet Hawks. Coelho now plays it. Coelho surveys his options. Now delivers it to Carvalho with some space. Carvalho gets it back. He'll release a shot, and that one high. Takes a bounce back down in play, but that was off the goal post. We're past the midway point now in the second half. Canton led it 1-0. Milford able to take a 2-1 lead and now tied at 2. Canton now trying to turn it back upfield, but trapped up in the footing of, I believe that was Griffin Roach indeed. Now again, Borges able to move it forward, now centers it for Nieva, making a bid for his second goal of the game. Under 18.5 minutes to go now. Clogged up on the far sideline. Canton now with the pass ahead to Ruggieri. Now it's Roach, and Milford able to knock it loose. Now Nieva. Just out of his reach as it came back toward him. Now again, it's Cruz. Back to Ruggieri, who tried to float it in the direction of Griffin Roach, but over his head. And Orellana makes the grab and now releases a kick. This is going to take a bounce towards Wallace and De Oliveira. He deflects it free, but that will take a roll towards the near sideline. Nieva takes something off of it, but Ruggieri is there. Now Borges steps in, leaves it for De Oliveira, who has it knocked away and out. And Joey Madden quickly races in to make the toss in with 16 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Madden, a long toss, no one there, but the Bulldogs. And now Coelho locked up with TJ McCabe. Now again, the two come together, and Coelho ends up down on his back. And McCabe draws the whistle and some additional conversation from the official. And so this sets up a kick for Tiago Carvalho with just under 16 minutes left. Lobs it for Joao Boaventura. Deflects out, still Milford ball. Now Canton deflects to the edge of the box, back out for Carvalho. Tiago leaves it. And the long pass, or the long shot, up and over everything and out of play. And this will take us down to the 15-minute mark. Final bits of daylight fading off in the distance as these two teams enter into a critical point in this match. Still tied. Now, Simon Cruz plays it along for the Bulldogs, but slowly reaches the keeper, Josh Orellana. A big bounce for Leo Coelho. Now back for Madden. Madden stays with it, gets it back to Coelho. And Coelho again thrown down. And more argument put up by Griffin Roach, who's had to be talked to a couple of times. And you can see Leo Coelho talking to the official, letting him know the number of times that has happened to him in this game. Physical play right on the edge here in the second half. Now the deflection, here's Nieva. He can't settle it down. Now the kick popped high up for grabs. Nieva again with a chance. And now it's Leo Coelho on the other end of the whistle, as we have a Canton player slow to get up with the clock still ticking, just over 13 minutes left. And they'll stop the clock now as the officials check on the injured Canton player. And so we will take the moment to pause for the injury timeout. 13 minutes and 14 seconds to go. It is Milford 2 and Canton 2 here on Milford TV. And so quickly set to resume now with just over 13 minutes to go. Canton dumps it down into the corner. Madden gets there first. Now Coelho back into the play again. Cruz now leaves it back for McCabe. And now more physical play. It has ramped up more and more as the time ticks down. Both of these teams desperate to walk away from this field with the victory. Madden, another toss that'll come with just over 12 minutes left. Each opportunity upfield becomes more and more crucial. On a line for De Oliveira. Now deflected out to the edge of the box, and that one blasted well high from Borges, a little amped up. Borges able to dump it back in. Now out of play. This will be sent back in by the Canton Bulldogs. Both of these teams in search of what would be win number 10 on the year. The only team in the Hockomock League that right now is the double digits in victories is the Mansfield Hornets over on the Kelly Rex side. The toss in for Canton. They're able to get another chance now. Milford trying to clear it back out. This will deflect right to midfield. Canton tries to deliver it back in deep, but the pass goes out of play. Now here's Madden from just outside the Canton bench with 10.5 minutes left. Anthony Salvador back into the game. He gets to that one. Now Boaventura makes a defender miss. Good footwork. Sends it back to the captain, Joey Madden. Now Borges, good passing here for Milford. Now Salvador loses control briefly, gets it back. And lobs it in, a check-in on the keeper who makes the stop. And under 10 minutes now, 9:42 on the game clock for the second half. Canton couldn't get much on that kick from their keeper. That allows Milford to come streaming back in. Here's Borges at the edge of the box. Now back out to Carvalho. Now Salvador, and tries to avoid contact with the keeper who slid in to make the stop. Both players selling out, and Salvador looks to have gotten the worse end of the collision, and this will stop play again. Another injury timeout here with 8 minutes and 59 seconds to go. It continues to be a tied matchup between Milford and Canton. 2-2 the score, and a quick break in the action here on Milford TV. Salvador able to walk to the sideline. Play now resumes with 8:55 left in the second half. Milford now setting up to boot this one downfield. Deflected away by Canton's Avery Minkin. And then out of play. Off of the Bulldogs. Just 8 minutes left to go. Carvalho sends it in. Borges. Coelho now with good footwork. And De Oliveira trying to make something happen. You certainly have to respect the work of Paul Corcoran, who has not given De Oliveira any easy opportunities throughout this game. Now here's De Oliveira again, and he collides with the keeper. both are able to get right back to their feet. And now that one nearly sprung loose for the Scarlet Hawks. Here's Nieva up the far side, but Canton able to clear it as far as center. Now Boaventura with a good ball ahead for Coelho, and Coelho can't quite get around Mike Mazzola. Now Madden pushes ahead for Borges. Borges was looking for Coelho. Now we'll dump it down into the corner. Canton will get there first. Nieva checking in. Trying to win position. Both players get locked up. And again, Jean Vitor looking for the call, and none comes. Now trying to stick with it. And we'll lob this one over in the direction of the net, but nobody home for Milford. And we will come down to 6 minutes to play with the scoreboard unchanged. Now Boaventura with a couple of good moves. Now Borges just trying to blast one through traffic. Now De Oliveira nearly had Coelho. And De Oliveira now sends this one up for grabs. Milford keeping it in. Dumping it down. Lucas da Silva trying to win it. The fans again getting loud for this last push. 5 minutes left. Tiago Carvalho, the short toss up over the head of De Oliveira. And De Oliveira turns and fires. Couldn't break through. Now deflected back out. Borges trying to be the first to get there. Now that deflects out of play. Milford calling for it, but they say last touched by the Hawks. Joey Madden calmly poking that one back in. Now Nieva along the near sideline. And again, tangled up this time with Mazzola. Coelho. And now that ball just past Borges. Madden can't slow the progress. Caetano, a good job of preventing the Canton offense with a look. Now Borges over the middle. Has some room. Will fire it on net, and it is in. And Jordan Borges, with 3.5 minutes to go from about 20 yards out, gives Milford the lead back at 3-2. And the Milford crowd absolutely loves it. Borges with his third goal of this season. And certainly one of the biggest of the year for the Scarlet Hawks. And now needing to survive this final 3.5 minutes. And they'll guide this one back to Orellana. We've seen both of these teams show the ability to respond quickly. And now here's Nieva. He starts and stops. And this one will find its way to the front of the net. The stop made, and now under 3 minutes left. Milford wanting to keep this clock moving. And now Coelho with some room. Makes a nice move around the defender, and the keeper having to stick a leg out to keep that one from making its way to the net. It stays in now all the way to the corner with under 2.5 minutes left. And now with two Canton players draped on each side, the ball ends up out of play, and it'll stay with the Hawks. It'll be a corner kick, as we now are under 2 minutes. And so not a corner kick, my apologies. They toss it in just shy of the corner, and Nieva pinned up against the flag. And now again, Nieva, with no real estate to work with, gets spun down. No whistle. Coach Edwards close by watching the action. He has discarded the coat. Fired up by the play of his team here over these final minutes. We just wait now for the final whistle. Canton just hoping to get up for one more shot at Orellana. This whistle going against the Hawks. They try to get back in numbers. This will drift back to Josh Orellana, who handles it cleanly. And now Nieva, the only one back. And that deflects out of play off to the far side. Milford just waiting on the final whistle. Milford will toss it back in. Perhaps one last time. And not quite yet, as we quickly see it deflected back out. And there is the whistle. And you can see the emotion on the sidelines as everyone from the Scarlet Hawks bench races out onto the field, as Milford will take this match by a final score of 3-2, and the Milford Scarlet Hawks are your Davenport Division champions for this 2018 fall season. The celebration on now at midfield, and suddenly it doesn't feel quite so cold out there. What a battle tonight between the Scarlet Hawks and the Canton Bulldogs. Canton scoring first here in the second half after we were deadlocked at 0 at the break. Lucas De Silva was able to even the score. João Vitor Nieva ended up giving Milford a 2-1 lead before Canton evened it again at 2, and then with just 3.5 minutes left, Jordan Borges from about 20 yards out blasted it past the keeper for what would be the game-deciding goal, and Milford with a 3-2 win to seal a Davenport Division title. They were able to check the first accomplishment off the list a couple of weeks ago with their playoff clinch, and now goal number 2 achieved with a league title. And a lot of emotion from head coach Brian Edwards, and especially these seniors who have seen all of the steps along the way to get to this moment. A long rebuild for this Milford boys soccer program, but this program is back in a big way, and now Davenport Division champions. So congratulations to the Milford Scarlet Hawks, who with the win improved to 10-1-5 on the season, and with the loss, Canton will fall to 9-4-4 overall on the year. So the celebration continues here, and we will step aside now for the conclusion of this boys coverage today. A big thank you to Rob O'Keefe and Mike Sperling. And I am Tim Coet. That final score, one final time for the boys. Milford, a 3-2 victory. And again, your Scarlet Hawks our Davenport Division champions. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.